Good morning. This is Judys Copenbarger. I'm so glad that you're here with us. Here's Carlos to get our day started.
Thanks, Judy. There's nothing like good old technical problems right before a show. But thanks for picking up the slack. And good morning, folks. Thanks for joining us this morning. It's Tuesday morning, 8 o'clock. We're here on Money Truth Moments with Judy Copenbarger. Hey, before anything else goes wrong, what do you say we get this show started, right?
I'm so ready. Let's do it.
All right, folks, if you're just joining us, we started speaking last week about planning for small business finances, but really it's integrating it into personal planning. So this week, we're going to definitely talk about some new questions that have come up, but I want to also recap a little bit about what we talked about last week. Last week, we talked about decisive strategies, what are the best planning decisions to reduce business liability, and how to minimize tax liability as well, too. And also, one of the key things that we spoke about is how to use critical skills for small business finance planning. Great topics, great questions, great answers. If you didn't catch the show, make sure you watch the replay as well, too. We're also, if you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. We'll talk a little bit more about her resources on our website a little bit later in the show. But without further ado, let's jump right into this, shall we?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So I've heard also that when you need to help develop your small business planning muscles, what do you do to get started?
Yeah. Well, we've been talking the last couple of weeks about how do you protect your business as you're growing? What kind of entity should you have? What kind of liability protection? How do you protect what you're growing as it's developing? And now it's time to talk about let's just develop it. So when you're developing a small business, you really need to keep it under a microscope. You want to keep a really good eye. I imagine a microscope in the old days, we had the one that had the big circle. And you look up close at something and you study it and you look at every little detail. You really need to do that with an emerging business or with a small business. And so there are several areas that if you haven't thought about it, you might want to consider really investigating, taking a close look. One is strategic organizing. This is going to be the things like operations, compliance, development, all the areas where you've got to organize it. You've got to pull it all together, but you don't want to have it overlapping. And it's a little tricky when you start a business because you're doing everything and it's all kind of in a pile on your desk or on your kitchen table. But you need to start bringing those pieces apart from the others so you can begin to delegate as your business grows. That's really important, that organization early. Development is the next big issue. Do you need to develop a new product? Do you need to have a new idea? Do you need to have a new service? Is there branding? So people will notice you, or, what should you be doing in the area of development? And then you have your infrastructure. Do you need a building? Do you need something bigger than your garage, to mix your paint in? Maybe you're in the business of food and you need a commercial kitchen. And I can already smell the brownies and the cookies and bacon in there. You just be sure that you are very careful as you're developing that you get the right licensing, the right permits. When you're doing things like that for infrastructure, sometimes you run into regulatory issues. How about leading your team, the people? Do you have the right people on your team? Do you have them in the right seats on the bus? Are there leadership courses? Are there peer groups that could help you lead your team? And what about technical organization? Are there credentials that you need? Do you need to hire someone with credentials or special skills? Do you need IT training or do you need to outsource that? And then finally, you want to think about sustaining performance. So you've already got a good idea. You've got the product, you've got the service, you've got the clients and customers. You're doing your thing. What do you need to do to get more of the good thing? Do we need to market? Do we need to change offerings or upsell or add offerings? What do we need to do with that? So those are just some areas to think about. When I'm working with my ministries and my small business owners, those are the areas that if you miss one, it's going to impact all the others negatively. So you want to make sure that you have a checklist out and you look really closely at all those areas of business.
That's awesome. And that actually, you brought up a very good point about investigating. You talk about team as well, too. It actually leads me to my next question, right? Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about the small business financial challenges, how does the staffing goals drive or should drive our vetting and selection of our talent in our company or our business?
Yeah, you have to have the right people. And the only way to know if you have the right people is you got to create the culture first. What's it going to be like to work here? What are our our goals as a company? Do we get along? Are we all rowing in the same direction? And that's people, right? It's people in any kind of a business. When you're hiring people or vetting people that you're going to either partner with or hire, bring into your team, your inner circle, you've got to hire for the fit. You can always train for the technical, but you've got to hire for the fit with the culture once that culture is established and developed. And again, this is something that I see this drift happen in small business. You have the owner, they're passionate about making their thing or doing their thing. And then they add a few friends and they're passionate about doing it. You hire a few more people, they're all passionate about doing it. And pretty soon you start bringing more people into the team and the culture shifts, it changes. And if they don't bring it back into alignment and everybody knows exactly how we do what we do here and with what attitude and with what passion, it's going to get lost. And you've got to reel that in or stay in alignment from the beginning. And I think the most important thing about a team, when you're hiring, when you're vetting, when you're partnering, you can't coach character. You can't coach character. You can train people skills. You can hire people with education or give them more education, but you can't train character into people. They have it or they don't. That's probably my best advice from a couple of years experience here, 40 years of experience. You've got to hire for character and then you can train all the rest.
It's so critical talking about culture and all that, because I've seen a lot of companies grow really well and I've seen a lot of them fail really badly because of how they establish that culture. And you're right. There's a lot of folks too that you either have it or you don't. Bottom line, you're either going to be positive and stay positive to produce, or just be completely negative. And I think that's also a key point that you bring up as well too. Folks, thank you for joining us this morning. We are here at Money Truth Moments with Judy Copenbarger. If you're not following her, follow her on judycopenbarger.com. This morning, we are definitely continuing our series on planning small business finances, but integrated also with personal planning as well too. We've just covered some very key points as well when it comes to staffing, or vetting our talent in our companies, as well as organizing. How do you lead a team? Organizing technically, sustaining that performance as well too. Those are very important points for you to keep your business going and moving forward as well too. So let me ask you also this. So let's dive into a little bit more about the small business critical skills, right? Are you it's come up as whether we're communicating a compelling vision for our company or not, right? Is the message clear?
Right. Yep. The message has to be clear. You've got to have clarity of vision. And it really comes down to three things. You got your mission, vision, and values. Mission, vision, values. And it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. You have this entrepreneur that has this great idea. They're rocking and rolling. They're getting clients, getting customers, growing the business, bringing in revenue. It's good, right? Profit's good. And things are going well. And then as you add more people and that culture shifts, if you're not in alignment, that's going to change. So you've got to be very clear about the mission. What is it we're doing here? Why? Why are we making widgets? Why are we selling this service? Why are we providing this for the world? Why do we come to work and do what we do? What's it all about? So as you're hiring people, they're not going to know that. The first little group, the inner circle, the small business that started is going to get it. It's like, we're doing this because whatever the reason is. But you've got to have that mission. Some businesses will even paint it on the wall. They'll have it on all their literature. So you know exactly why they're doing what they're doing, why they're cleaning up the trash places, right? Why they're serving the coffee, why they're doing whatever they do, plumbing, electrical services. Some businesses is so clear why they're in business. Others just like, oh, I don't know. They just kind of do their thing. Those are the ones that can fail. Those are the ones that can lose their vision, have a hard time retaining employees because they show up and it's like, it's not just for a paycheck. It's like, why am I here? And more, we see the millennials and the XYZs and all those new generations. It's more about purposefulness. It's like, I want to have a reason to get up and go to work or work from my computer at home or wherever I am. I want to have a reason. I want to be part of something bigger than myself. I don't want to just go, get my pay. So you've got to have that clarity, mission and vision. Vision is, where are we going? How big are we going to be? What are we going to be able to do with our why? And then your values is going to be things like, it might be excellence. It might be speedy service. It might be good communication. What comes to mind is the the commercial, I don't know if it's still running, but years ago it was about a plumber that shows up smelling good.
Right. Smell good plumber. I remember that.
And
Yeah.
they clean up their messes and they put booties on their shoes. And for some people, their value is they want to have a clean, nice, environment, even if you're dealing with something really messy in your house. But that was a great marketing campaign because that's a value for them. So it's obvious that company wants to be clean, wants to not offend their customers. They want the customers to have a really good smelling experience. So things like that, mission, vision, and values, I think are so important. And then you've always got to measure. So the KPIs, if we have time, we could talk about the KPIs. You always got to measure that.
You know what? And actually, this might be a good segment for that. How about we expand a little bit on the KPIs? So we do have a little bit of time before I jump into our next question.
Yeah, absolutely. So a KPI is a key performance indicator. Key performance indicator. And if you're not in the business world, you're not in, the world where you're analyzing or things like that, that might be a very new term for you, but you've got to measure. You can't grow anything that you're not measuring. You can't grow anything that you're not measuring. It's so true. It's so what are we going to measure? How are we going to do that? Well, a KPI is how you say, last month it was here. This month it's here. Last week it was here. Now I'm here. Last year I was here. So it's easy to measure things like profit last November, this November, maybe revenue, maybe expenses. We're trying to cut our expenses and lean up a little bit. What did I spend last year on this category? What am I spending this year, in the same month? A good example is when you get your gas bill or your phone bill or your water bill, your power bill. They always show you every month, power particularly, every month what you're using, what you did last month, last year, things like that. And so you can measure, I'm using more or less than last time. You need to know that in business. So a KPI could be something in the area of development, like for a real estate guy, out selling houses, they need to know people. They need to be known by people. So a realtor might measure how many coffees they have with people every week. Maybe their goal is 5 coffees every week or 10 coffees every week. They've got to be out networking. For a plumber, it might be how many quotes in a week. They know if they do 2 quotes a week, 8 quotes a month, they're going to get 4 jobs. And maybe that's what they need. If they want more jobs, they give out more quotes or more proposals. A banker, a KPI for a banker, they might be measuring like how much money came in this week or this month or today. They might be also measuring how many new accounts were open. And I know banks do that because they're always trying to get me to open new accounts and I've got too many already. I don't need any more bank accounts. I need more money in them. I don't need any more bank accounts. But I know they're measuring that and the workers are incentivized at the bank to open those accounts because if you have more accounts, it brings in more assets, more resources. An artist might measure, they might have KPIs for referrals. So if they're doing these beautiful art pieces, ceramics or paintings or whatever, crafts, they might measure how many referrals or how many recommendations they get every month. And then online businesses, I think they really have it because the technology is already there. How many views you get, how many likes you get, how many people hit the button, the bell, right? So those are things that you can measure. Those are the metrics that you can measure, which will give you the key performance indicators so you can tell where was I before, where am I now, where do I want to be in the future? And then you got to use that information. And it's 3 simple steps. It's you got to measure it, right? We talked about measuring whatever the important indicators are. Notice where the gaps are. Where do you want it to be better? And then take action to either fill in the gaps or do something different to get the KPIs where they need to be. And Carlos, I have no audio on you.
There we go. Right. That is a lot of great information, folks. I hope that you are taking notes. It's very valuable. And now that actually leads me to talk a little bit about your website, judycopenbarger.com. I want to share with folks some of the available resources. And if you haven't looked at Judy's website, you have to do so. All you're going to invest is just time, so you can take advantage of a lot of these great resources. 2 particular resources that I want to talk about, I want folks to be aware of is number 1 is your book, Money, Truth, and Life, which continues to do fantastic. So congratulations. And also the second one is the online mastery program. So I want to take a moment for you to talk about both of those and the additional resources that folks can find on your website as well too.
Oh, yeah. So all the technical stuff about business. What kind of retirement plan should you have? What kind of insurance should you have? What about the compliance requirements? What kind of an entity? If I'm in business, should I be in a partnership? Should I be in a corporation? What kind of corporation? There's so many kinds. Should I stay a sole proprietorship for a period of time? All those questions are answered in the Money, Truth, and Life book. It goes through all the pillars of finance, how to grow your business, how to protect your business. There's information on there about what to do with your staffing, all the things that we're talking about here and more. And then how to measure the metrics, how to measure the money there. And that's a book, and not all of you are book readers. If you're a Kindle reader on Amazon, you can get the Kindle version as well if you like to read it on your iPad or your phone or computer. So those are available for basically cappuccino money. They're not a big deal. I think the Kindle is just a few bucks, maybe less than 10, I'm sure. And then if you really want to do a deeper dive, there's a whole video series at Money, Truth, and Life online mastery program. And you can access through the judycopenbarger.com website. There's a little green button that says, take me to the course. So you can go there and you will be able to see videos, kind of like this, videos of a discussion about all of these things. So deeper dive into insurances, deeper dive into taxation, deeper dive into estate planning, business entities, all the things that you're thinking, am I doing the right thing? Do I have the right advice? I don't even know what kind of a professional to hire or to ask about these things. It's a way to know the questions that you need to be asking. If you don't find the answers, you'll at least find the right questions. And that's the goal of the course. But right now, for 7 days, you can go to the online mastery course. It's Money, Truth, and Life through judycopenbarger.com. You can go there for 7 days and watch all the classes you want. Sit through all the courses that you want on your own time, at home, in your bunny slippers, and just enjoy yourself, take notes, learn what you can learn, and there's no cost. Now, if you stay on after 7 days, there's a subscription. And it's minimal. I know it's less than $10 a month or something. It's very minimal. But for a week, you can go and watch any class you want. And if it's your style, you're going to want to do more because it's got all the information you're going to need for anything financial, whether it's business related or personal related or asset related, retirement related, how to work with your family, how to teach your children about money. Everything is there to make sure that you have an optimal future when it comes to your personal finances. It's all right there.
Thank you for sharing that, folks. And remember, visit Judy at judycopenbarger.com. And you can also follow her on social media. All of her links on her website as well, too. And like you said, there is a wealth of information and resources. Take advantage of it. The only thing you got is to invest time in yourself and just to get better and get your business up and running as well, too. So before I get to my next question, Judy, I also want to make sure that folks understand the purpose behind why you're doing Money, Truth, and Life, why you're sharing all of this wisdom, why you're here every Tuesday sharing these nuggets that help people and businesses. And the bottom line is you and I have had conversations about this before, but for our new listeners as well, I want to make sure that folks know the reason why you're doing this. And obviously, I'm going to tell you right out of the gate that you're not doing it for money, because that's the bottom line. But I want to get to the core, because this also falls into the line of building a business, building the relationships, building the perfect team, the culture and all that. But it all comes down to legacy, right? Right. And I want you to talk a little bit about your purpose as to why you're sharing all of this wisdom with folks.
Yeah, I love that question. And it's a one-word answer. So for me, legacy is not something that you leave. It's something that you create while you're here. It's your values. It's your purpose. It's your business that you create. It's the wealth that you amass. It's the properties that you buy and you leave to your children. But it's more than that. It's your education. It's the values that you have that you pass along to other people in your path, your children, your grandchildren, but other people. So everybody that has come across Judy is either better or not better because of it, because of their experience with me. And it can be as small as checking out, with the clerk at the grocery store. You have that just moment, maybe seconds, but their life is impacted positively or not because I was there. And then you have children now. Well, you pour into your children for years, decades, lifetime, right? And so there's an impact there the friends that you have, the friends that you had from grade school, your college roommates, people that you've been in business with or worked with. So everyone in your community that touches you gets something from you. That's all legacy. And when you're gone, that's what's left. It's like when you have a building at the shore and a hurricane comes or a bad storm comes and the building's washed away, you still see where the building was. There's a concrete foundation or brick foundation where it was. And you can still see that long after the building's gone. And that's what they call the footprint of the building, right? Well, we have that in our lives. We have a life print. So long after we're washed away, long after we're gone, there's going to be something about Judy. What did she teach me? What did she learn from me? How did we interact? Was I a better person because she was there? What was her contribution to the world while she was on the planet? That's your life print. And I would propose to you that it's not something that you just leave. Like when you're gone, there's going to be something there, but you get to create it. What do I want it to be? What do I purposefully want to design that to be? So when I'm gone, they're going to go, yeah, that was a life well lived. That was someone who worked 40 years, maybe 50 by the time I get through, with clients, nose to nose and knee to knee, learned from them, taught them, made their lives better financially, gave them all the resources they need, told all the stories so they could understand it. And then she left that in a program that we can go watch, online course. She left it in a series of books where we could now take what she left, even though she's not here. That's what I'm creating. So this year for me is all about legacy. It's about continuing the book work, continuing the coursework, making sure that anybody out there looking for the right way for the money truth can find it without, being sold something or given advice that has a conflict built into it. So that's part of my legacy. Now I have a legacy with my husband, legacy with my family, with my children, of other things, other areas of my life. But professionally, this work is my legacy. I want anyone that wants it to get it and get their hands on it and master it and not have to make the mistakes that most of us have made. I love it when young people get a hold of this and they just chart the course. Yesterday, I met with a 24-year-old who hired me, had the guts to hire me and say, I don't want to at 50 go back and wish I had, done it the right way. I want to do it the right way. My mom said I should do it. And it's awesome when I can work with young people that don't have to look in my face and say, at 50, 60, 70, where were you 20 years ago? I wish you were with me then and I wouldn't have had all these mistakes. I'd be so much farther along with my goals and the finances that I want to leave for my family. But when I get to work with young people, it's awesome. So part of this coursework and part of the outreach of this is we're trying to find young people. But it doesn't matter what age you are, but particularly I'm passionate about young people not making the mistakes, getting their hands on the right thing and building it right from the start so they don't have an implosion and they have to rebuild and reboot. So that's why I'm doing this. That's my legacy. This year, I'm going to be encouraging other people to think about their legacy and not just their will and their trust and their insurance and their, what they're leaving their kids, but how they're living their life and what they want that to mean for people down the road.
That's very powerful, and I really wanted folks to listen to that because there's a lot of great takeaways from that, and it actually is very inspirational. So folks can connect that way with you, and really, people need to know the purpose behind this. It's not about making money and all of this. It really is about you educating folks, sharing that wisdom to make sure that they make the right choices and they don't find themselves in really bad spots. Especially if you're starting young. You really don't know what your journey is going to hold, and it's always great to have somebody you can trust and really talk to about some of these issues as well too. So let me briefly touch on this question on there because I do want to spend a little bit of time, but I know we're getting close to the end of our show. But talk to us about the servant leadership philosophy in small business. For me, servant leadership is powerful, but talk to us about it in the small business aspect.
Yeah. Well, servant leadership just means that you lead by serving the people that are serving you. So a great example of this, years ago, I sat at a dinner. We were at a speaking event, and I sat next to the CEO of Southwest. And it's funny because he's in the front of the magazine every time I fly on Southwest. There he is, there he is. So we're not like best friends or anything, but we had some time to really chat and share mission, vision, values about our businesses at the time. And one of the things that they do really well at Southwest is they have this servant leadership concept down. What they do is they take really good care of their employees. They have profit sharing. They get perks. They get to be creative, and you see them decorating the airport, at holidays. They can bring their personalities to work. They are encouraged to help other people go out of their way and go beyond the call of duty, and they're acknowledged for that and rewarded for that. So and some people, that's really important to be able to do. We talked about, you want to do more than just get a paycheck. And people are very attracted to that kind of thing. So the leadership is taking care of the people that work there first. So employees are number one, before profit, before even clients and customers. It is about your staff. Now, if you take care of your staff, it's going to trickle down. They're going to take good care of the customers. Customers are going to fall in love with them. They're going to know that they're going to have responsiveness. They're going to have excellence of service. If their needs are being met, you're going to have happy staff, take care of happy clients. When you have happy clients, happy customers, happy people flying on Southwest, they're going to keep coming back. They're going to tell their friends, I have the best experience. They're going to keep coming back, and that's going to be their airline. So now the profits go up. So the shareholders are happy. So it's taking care of the people that work for you first. They will take care of your customers. The customers will make sure there's a profit. That's servant leadership. So it's the leaders taking care of their tribe, taking care of their employees first, not what can I get, or who could I boss around, or how do I get the most, the biggest paycheck I can. Forget them. I'll take all the retirement funds. They don't need any. You see businesses like that, they're not really sustainable. They'll last a while, but they're not sustainable. You're going to have people working there that aren't really happy. They're not really loyal. They're not really dedicated or committed. And so they're going to keep leaving. So now you have more cost in retention. And then you have customers that are not being served, and that's going to impact the profit. So that's really the big bottom line of servant leadership, the way I understand it, with a great example at Southwest.
Thank you for sharing that. And I know we're coming close to the end of our show, but it's that time. All right. What have you got for us this week's Money Truth Moment Challenge?
Okay, here's your challenge. So we talked a little bit about KPIs, the key performance indicators. You can't grow what you don't measure, right? So your challenge is to find some things that you can measure. What should I be measuring? Is it phone calls I make? Is it appointments I make? Is it profit that I make? Is it how much I spend on development or marketing? Depending on where you are in business, you want to find something to measure. And I think you should start with 5 things. If you're not already measuring, come up with 5 indicators that will help you measure the growth in your business. Second thing is, once you have that data, maybe it's a month or 2 or 3, a good quarter of data would be good. So you go, last quarter, what did I do? And if you have a seasonal business, you might need more time. But last quarter, what did I do? This quarter, what did I do in the month or in the week? And then measure that. Look for the gap. What is the gap? If it didn't move, or maybe it went backwards, what do I need to put in? That's your third part of the challenge, right? What do I need to put in to get that number back where it was, or get it to grow? I need to add something, hire somebody, market for something, add a service or a product. And then the third part of the challenge is just that. Take action. What do I need to do to get the KPI, to get that last indicator to be where I want it to be, so I can see the growth? If you had, one of those charts, like a stock chart, you want to see it. It's not going to just go perfectly like that, but you want to see the growth as you go with those little points in time where you're measuring it. So that's your challenge. Get some KPIs, look for the gaps, take action.
All right, folks, you've heard it. Make sure that, again, you wrote that down. We want to hear from you guys, so please share that out. Not only on the social media platforms, but just email Judy as well too. Let us know how you guys are doing with some of these challenges as well. And so remember, if you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. We are here every Tuesday morning, Money Truth Moments at 8 a.m. So make sure you tell your friends, share out the feeds. Judy, any last words before we go?
Yeah. Think about the culture at work and what can you do to shift the culture and make it more ideal. That's your other challenge for the week. Something good to think about.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Judy. And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you, guys.